The episode, it's all about sustaining your happiness. Folks, there's a lot of you who are kind of down in the dumps. You're slipping a little bit. We're going to tighten that up. Hello, it is Patrick Tycoon Jones here today with another episode. But before we get into the episode, I want to say thank you to all of my Tycoons. We just went over 5,000 subscribers. I am humbled and I definitely want to say thank you for everything, the support. I would love to see a couple more comments in the videos. However, I want to say thank you for the support. So now, the episode. It's all about sustaining your happiness. Folks, there's a lot of you who are kind of down in the dumps. You're slipping a little bit. We're going to tighten that up. So you know what to do. Grab your pens, your pads, whatever it is that you're taking notes on, and let's get ready to do the darn thing. Step one, put your trust in God and yourself. Folks, this is extremely important. First and foremost, I know a lot of you are kind of veering off right now. I know a lot of you may kind of be down in the dumps. Things aren't going how you want it to go, and you're questioning a lot, right? So if you're doing that, if you find yourself in that scenario, what I feel you should do is you really need to increase your communication with the higher power. Increase your communication, with the universe. And know exactly what it is that you're seeking. Because I always tell people this, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. And you want to be prepared, you want to be focused, you want to be ready to receive what it is that you're asking for, okay? A lot of you folks haven't made room for what you're asking for. So how can you receive it when you have no room to actually receive it, right? That may be a relationship. That actually may be a new job, a promotion, an increase, abundance, right? That's what all of us want. So if you do want that, you have to make room for it. And how do you make room for it? Well, you need to take inventory within your life. And then you need to figure out what's serving me and what's not serving me. What is going to be a part of who I'm trying to become and what's not, okay? So take inventory of that. Eliminate it from your life, and also not just your life, but eliminate it from your habits, right? Eliminate it from your thought process and make room for new. But then once you make room for new, you have to have that relationship with God. You have to have that relationship with the universe to actually call for what it is that you want. And then after you call and ask for what it is and pray for what it is that you want, you need to be fundamentally doing the things that you need to do to get to where you're going, okay? Prayer without action, without a plan, is just prayer. It's meaningless. Or thoughts without action and a plan is meaningless, right? Talking to the universe without action and a plan is meaningless. So we have to get that together, folks. That's extremely important. Secondarily, after you maintain that relationship with God and the universe, then what you need to be doing is you need to be putting trust in yourself as well. Trust that you're going to actually do the work. Trust that you're going to make room for the new and out with the old, the things that aren't serving you, okay? So again, mind, body, soul, spirit, all of that needs to be in alignment. If it's not in alignment, folks, it's not going to work. And then you're going to find yourself in the dumps. You're going to find yourself potentially depressed. You're going to find yourself down. And why? Why? Because it's just a shift in the thought process to get you what you really want. It's very simplistic, but we make it very difficult, okay? So stop doing that. Stop making life difficult. And increase your relationship with God. Increase your relationship with the universe. And put trust in yourself. Do the work, folks. Okay? Number 2, identify your personal values and don't break them. You know, in Scarface said, the movie, he said, you know, I only have one thing, and that's my word, right? And he also said, in his balls. And he doesn't break them for anyone, okay? So that's his personal values, his personal belief system, and he doesn't break it for anyone, okay? That's how you need to be. What's your personal values? Like, what do you stand for? Why do you do the things that you do? What's that about? Have you defined what your values are as a person, okay? Do good to others, right? Bring positivity to the world. Potentially create a product and bring that to the world because everyone needs it, right? Help the homeless, okay? What is it that you stand for? What's your value system and your belief? That's kind of your compass in how you navigate life. What is that? If you haven't figured that out, and I feel like a lot of us, in fact, I had several conversations with a lot of professional individuals, and I talked to them about their values. And you know, a lot of them, when you start talking about it, they're like, yeah, I know what my values are. Of course, I know what my values are. And then I say, well, what? Define it. And they're like, you know what? I haven't done the work. I can't really define what my values are, okay? So if you can't define what your values are, well, then how do you know if you're breaking them or not? You just have this little feeling inside, and it's like, you know what? This doesn't feel right, but then you can't connect it to your values. So then how do you have a system that regulates yourself, your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts? There is no system that regulates that, right? Because your values, once you create those, that's your system that regulates your emotional intelligence. A lot of us are walking around wearing our heart on our sleeve, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you should have a compass to the heart that's on your sleeve that should be governed by your values. So now, if you haven't done the work, what I want you to do is take a piece of paper and write down your values, what you believe in, what you stand for, okay? And let that be your compass. That's extremely important. Next, live with principles. So first, a lot of you don't understand what principles are, okay? So let's define that. Principles are a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system or belief. You see how that runs into each other? So live with principles. What are your fundamental truths? What is it? What are the fundamental truths that maybe your parents raised you by? Maybe you created, new fundamental truths. But what's your position? What's your proposition to the world? What's your proposition to yourself? Okay? How do you know if someone's pushing you too far or overstepping the boundaries? How do you know that? If you don't understand what your core principles are, and to the earlier point, you don't understand what your values are, well, then you'll fall for anything, right? Or you'll have this little feeling and you're like, this doesn't really feel good. I don't like this. I don't like where this is going, so I'm going to cut it off. But guess what? You just wasted a bunch of time. Okay? Had you identified what your fundamental truth is, had you identified what your values are, had you created those, then you have a systematic approach to yourself. Okay? And that's extremely important. So understand, you have to live with principles, which are your fundamental truths. Next, what's your code of conduct? So when you go out in public, how do you present yourself? Right? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about, when I go out in public, this is how I want to dress. This is how I want to present myself. This is the level of vocabulary that I want to utilize, okay? I want to be clean, right? I recently had someone who's in my life who said, you know what? Your style is clean. And I was like, you know what? I never thought about it as that. You know, I'm trying to boost myself. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm GQ, but it's clean. My style is very clean, right? So what's your style, okay? What's your code of conduct? What are the things that you're not going to do? For example, a code of conduct for me is you'll never catch me in public intoxicated. You'll never catch me in public tipsy, right? I believe every man and woman should understand what their limit is. That's a code of conduct, right? That's a code of conduct that I live by. In addition to that, you'll never catch me out in public under the influence of anything, right? Because I don't do drugs. That's code of conduct. Yes, I'll have a drink. Yes, I have a glass of wine. You know, yeah, we'll do that. But you'll never see me outside of my code of conduct, okay? If we're talking, then it needs to be constructive. I don't want to talk about people. You know, I don't want to talk about things. I want to talk about destination and goals and making money and thinking big. That's code of conduct. That's my code of conduct, right? So I'm just giving you some tools that you can utilize when you're building out your code of conduct, right? You're like, okay, well, here's some things that I can build off of. Okay? And always, when you're creating the code of conduct, create it in a great manner, right? Let's be great. Why be mediocre? So when you're thinking about your values, when you're thinking about your fundamental truths, your principles, when you're thinking about your code of conduct, when you're out in public and how you're interacting, how you're presenting yourself, the clothes that you put on your back, the watch that you have, the signet ring, right? Whatever it may be, the brands should all represent your code of conduct. And if it's not, let's get in alignment, folks. That's very important. Next, watch out for fake love. That's extremely important, okay? You, the individual that I'm talking to through this video, you are responsible, and it's your duty and obligation to figure out your circle, 1, 2, who's in it, and 3, do they represent realness? And I mean realness from are they genuine people? Do they align with your values? Do they align with your principles? Do they align with your code of conduct? Do they? Like, honestly, do they? And I guarantee you, when you think of it on that level, I guarantee you have people that you need to remove, okay? So that's how you should be thinking. When you're watching out for fake love, if they don't align with your values, if they don't align with your principles, if they don't align with your code of conduct, then why are they in your circle? Because you know what they say, birds of a feather flock together, right? You may need to check yourself. I know I check myself. I know I've done the work, right? You may need to check yourself. So understand that. Next, identify seasonal people. That's just as important as identifying fake love, because seasonal people may have fake love. Seasonal people may be in your life to teach you a lesson. Seasonal people, you need to know. Because if they're meant to be around for a season and you keep them around much longer, then what are you doing? We're not out here trying to hurt people. We're not out here trying to keep people around that don't serve our mission in life. We're not out here trying to, link up with just anyone. We're out here trying to be intentional and purposeful. So understand that. Is this person in my life seasonal? And if they're in your life and they're seasonal, then you got to let them go, okay? Understand that. Next, think abundantly and move silently. So when we're talking about your principles, when we're talking about your values, when we're talking about code of conduct, that all aligns with abundant thinking. It should. Abundant thinking should be here. And then values, principles, code of conduct should be underneath it. Okay? Those are all subcomponents of thinking abundantly. So if you're not thinking abundantly, if you haven't created a vision board, if you don't know where you're going, if you're not working towards a significant goal, then what are you doing? But if you are doing that, it's a must. You move silently, right? It's a must. You move like the panther that's in the night, that blends in with night, that's just waiting on his prey and looking to strike. It's a must. You don't make a whole bunch of noise, right? Think about it like this. You're the panther. You blend in with night. But you're sitting here making a whole bunch of noise. Guess what? You've alerted everyone. Everyone knows you're there. You can't be cold and calculated, right? You can't be purposeful and intentional because you've let everyone know how you're moving. So folks, if you have a dream that's worthy, you don't need to tell everybody your dream because there's a bunch of dream killers. You need to be a dream chaser. Shouts out to Meek Mill. But that's what you need to be. And if you're not, then what are we doing, folks? And there's always time to redirect your energy. Okay? So folks, that concludes today's episode. What I would really like you to do is I would really like you to comment, okay? Comment, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you would like to hear moving forward. But definitely do that. Smash the like and share this with someone who needs a Tycoon knowledge. And you know what I always say? Lock in with me because you know I'm locked in with you. Until we meet again, take care, folks.